Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our webinar today on post-secondary apprenticeships for youth, also called Paycheck, and it's through the Human Development Center of LSU here in New Orleans. We have with us today Sue Killam, who is the Director of Transition, Employment, and Careers, and she's on faculty at the LSU Human Development Center. She's been doing work with disability employment for over 30 years, and you can tell because she is the guru. That's what we all call you behind your back, Sue. So she is the director of Paycheck, and she also has some friends with her on her panel, but I'm going to turn it over to her so that she can get started. Sue, thanks so much for being here today.
Oh, you're most welcome, Sharon. Thank you for having us, and thank you for setting this all up and organizing us together. I'm excited to be here today to talk about the Paycheck program, and I've included some people, added them into the presentation, and I'm going to tell you who they are. And then when they speak, of course, I want them to share a little more about themselves and why they're here talking today. But first of all, there's Nicole DeRoche, who is a parent of an individual that was in our program. And Nicole also is going to talk about that experience from the parent perspective, as well as from her son's perspective. We would have probably asked her son to come, but I think that he is somebody who is not particularly keen about standing in front of a camera, even if it's a Zoom. So yeah, mom is nodding. So we did include a photo of one of his experiences. So we look forward to hearing from Nicole. As well, we have Wilbur Johnson, who goes by Will Johnson as well now, or maybe now that he's growing into a young adult, he has sort of modified his name. But so we're excited to have him, as he is somebody who was in the program the very first year it ran. That was 2016, 2017. And he's from JP Schools, as is Nicole's son. We have a big partnership with Jefferson Parish Schools that we're very excited about. It's been nearly 7 years of a good relationship in helping students transitioning from high school. So I'm going to call upon them as we go through the presentation, and when they start talking, they'll talk to you about their role and what they want to say, and how Paycheck impacted them and or their family member. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. It's a small group that's here today. So I feel like if you raise your hand and you have a question, or if you type it in the chat, we certainly can take your questions as we go through it. We will also allow time at the end. We have an hour and we might use it all, but we don't really tend to be just talking heads for 1 hour and then just close out the session. So we prefer to see if anybody has any questions that they want to ask us, that we can offer some type of response. So let's go ahead and get started, and we'll explain this post-secondary apprenticeship for youth. We also call it paid apprenticeship for youth, to not confuse the fact that some of the people that are in our program, they are actually not out of high school yet. They're still on an IEP with the school. And so for them, it's the paid apprenticeship program. But I'm going to walk through what the key components of the program are. Likely many of you have heard about it, but you kind of get the real profile of the program and from start to beginning. So this Paycheck program is a really very unique collaborative. We've had a lot of interest from other states actually to be able to do this program. We've done national presentations on it. We were one of the first programs in the nation to do this using WIOA funds, which was signed into law in 2014 and then became a policy in every state across the nation in 2016. And Dr. Wilson and I were key in developing this model that we presented to Louisiana Rehab Services to request some funding so we could do this with transitioning youth. But so it's a unique collaborative between where I work is LSU Human Development Center and Louisiana Rehab Services. In this case, it says public school systems because we do work with a couple of other school systems, but our key school system that we work with is Jefferson Parish Schools right now. And then Delgado Community College, which I didn't include them on this slide, but they we use their campus for part of this program. and then of course the community employers that we have. And we'll talk about specifically some of them, but we certainly have had a lot over the last almost 7 years. So before I get Nicole and Wilbert to talk, I want to share a couple of things about the pathway so you kind of know what happens here. And actually, Wilbert, these are his photos as he was walking the 5 steps of the pathway. And he will kind of go through those again. And Wilbert, when we get there, I'll back up so you can remember what it was you wanted to say if you'd like. But so the pathway, starts. It's a 3-semester program, but you really go to the community college the first 2 semesters, and the final semester you're no longer on the community college campus. You'd be out with an employer doing some internships and apprenticeships and various other things like job shadowing and worksite visits. So the program is really geared to be able to get students who are between 18 and 22 thinking about going to work and giving them the opportunity to test the waters of work. The community college piece is added in so that the student who's now 18 is actually at, and they're not at a high school anymore, because when you're 18, most people aren't at high school. So we needed some sort of academic setting where they could be among their same age peers. So 18, 19, and 20, and 21, the place where you would be in school at those ages would be at a community college or a university, et cetera, et cetera. So we included Delgado into this. So we have a little look at some of the courses we take, because that's usually a question that people have when I start talking about coursework. We often have individuals who may not be that interested academically or may not be good with pen to paper kind of coursework and classes. So we deliberately pick some of the courses at Delgado that are listed here. We're just trying to introduce those participants to the academic environment where their same age peers would be, people who are, of course, 18 to 22. The classes that we've identified in the handbook, in the course catalog of Delgado, are classes such as college to career success skills, fitness, customer service. We have had people take some classes such as sign language, and some culinary classes, which are more hands-on, and only, of course, if the individual is interested in them. Also, we've had introductory classes in introduction to auto body, introduction to animal care, and we did also have somebody who took introduction to vet care in a vet tech program. But occasionally we have somebody that wants to go into one of the certificate programs, which are really more aligned with the adult workforce classes that Delgado offers. You probably think mostly of things like they have high back repair, welding. We don't have any students that have ever been in any of those programs, but we haven't had some of them in other certificate programs like graphic design, early childhood education. Assumedly, they would go into a childcare position, and then again, some of the culinary stuff that I spoke about. So I'm going to go in more detail about like a little bit about the program, because for you that kind of know that overview but want the details. But I'm going to now kind of defer to Will and Nicole, who I'd like them to talk about some of their experiences and about what they feel like they gained from this. Nicole, I'm going to ask you to go first. I really appreciate you being here today. I know you work at Family Something Families, and you have other things that you could be doing, and I'm really happy that you agreed to share your experience, and so thank you for being here today.
Oh, no, thank you for having me. My name is Nicole DeRoche, and I am the Parent Training Information Specialist for Families Helping Families of Greater New Orleans. Also, I'm one of the educational advocates here. When I learned about the program, when my son graduated, I said, oh, as a parent, I'm like, what are we going to do? Is he going to go to work? Is he going to go? I was just feeling a little lost. So when I reached out to Sue and she told me about the program, I said, oh, he's going to be on this big old campus. I was a little afraid. But then when she walked me through the process, and I realized they had coaches on campus for him, and they would walk him and show him where his classes are, and the fact that I thought he was going to get an exercise program, well, I thought, well, that's fantastic. because, you know, has limited, let's just say limited food intake. Let's just pizza and chicken nuggets. So I said, oh, that's so great. He's going to actually work out. And then I knew about the life skills course, and I'm thinking, okay, all right, well, let's see if he can do money, you know. And by the way, he does his own banking now, thanks to that course. Also, he went into I believe he did animation and computers, and he did quite well in that course. What was great also about it was he actually took a streetcar from the Delgado to the hospital on Tulane. I like to have a complete cardiac arrest when I heard. And he says, Mom, I got this. I'm like, oh, I wanted to follow him in the car when I learned it, but I said, no, back up, Mom, back up. So I have to say, and then from that program, he did go, well, COVID hit us, of course. So once we were safe, we resumed the program with Paycheck, and he ended up at Langenstein's on Metairie Road doing quite well, by the way. And they actually offered him the job after the apprenticeship. So he's still there, actually pulling a lot more hours than he did in the program and loving every minute of it. So, you know, I know it's scary when you think when your child graduates, what exactly is he capable of? And I know we push them so hard in school, but then we think as parents, when just the thought of them getting out in the world, it makes you feel, oh, I'm going to protect them, right? What are we going to do here? But this is a nice program to introduce him into the adult world, and also having some supervision there and some supports. That is what really made me feel good. And it also gave Bradley the opportunity to be a lot more independent. And he is a lot more independent today and a lot more social because of this program. And he now has a work ethic, right? And he's found his niche in the world, and he's very happy. So I cannot push parents that are apprehensive about their children getting out there working and worrying about money and banking and in that big old campus. But I can't push you enough just to let him fly a little bit, because I couldn't be happier that I chose this program for him to do it with.
Well, thank you, Nicole. I certainly do remember you and your husband coming to the campus, and we kind of tour. And I know you told me up front that you were very nervous about it, and I have a lot of parents that are like that, and I'm glad to hear that at least something that I said helped a little bit. But I understand that you still always were worried once that he was there, because it was probably one of the first times since he was in school that he was really out there by himself.
Right.
There was some monitoring, but at times, as I told you, we won't be with him every moment, every day. Once he gets into like the second semester, I mean, sometimes he'll come to campus and my staff will be talking to other people, or they might be in another part of the campus, etc. But we're always a text or I was going to say phone call,
Right.
but don't phone. We're reachable. And Bradley there was never an issue with him. He always did what was expected, and he was always where he was supposed to be. We do have a few students who sometimes test the waters and go walking across the street and kind of exercise their independent living. We certainly try to control for that. So I do appreciate it. And I think that your experience as a parent trainer and also working at an employment agency for people with disabilities, I even value what you're saying more, because you kind of know what the programs look like, and lots of them can say they're going to do certain things and they don't always deliver, or maybe they don't deliver to the degree they're supposed to. But I think I always try to say in the beginning, it's a program of independence. We're trying to get the person to be as independent as they could be, not as independent as I can be or you can be, Nicole, but we're trying to do it within those parameters that the parents set and that we all agree upon. So I appreciate your comments.
Oh, no, you're more than welcome.
Okay, and I'm hoping you can stay on because I think some people might want to ask
Oh,
questions.
no, I'll stay on for questions, and because I mean, once again, I'm in the field, but I'm a parent first, you know.
Right.
So, you know, and I did work in employment, but this is a nice program that gets the parent introduced to employment, right? And also gets the parent introduced to just testing the waters to see what their children are capable of. And I think it's a great way it's a great introduction to employment. I think that's one side of it, but I mean, it is an important side because parents don't know what to expect, you see.
Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go on for a minute. Will, hang in there. You're coming up. I'm showing you this slide. I know the writing's on it. It's quite tiny, but it's really to show you or explain something we call a STAR plan. So you can see at the center of this graphic that's in the slide, there's a star that's in there. And it is the method that we use to plan for the student with the parents, and then with whoever the parents want to invite to that meeting. They can bring, you know, their neighbor, they can bring a friend, whatever, whoever they want to have in the room while we're making a plan. We do these 3 times during the pathway, 3 times during the 12-month period. And we try to schedule them according to the parents' availability. You know, we tend to work from like 8:30 to 5, but really a lot of our parents work during that same time. So we try to schedule them at lunch times, at, you know, break times. We've done a couple in the evening. I don't believe we've ever done any on the weekend. Most people, the weekends are kind of theirs. And so, but this is something, the STAR plan stands for a student transitioning to an adult role. It's based off a national model. We didn't invent it. We adapted it for our use here. And so the arrows that are pointing into the star that's pictured in the very center are the key areas that we plan for, that include self-determination, the apprenticeships, the community environment, the community training, the independent living training that Nicole mentioned that she valued so much, like the banking and things like that, the streetcar or the bus training. We don't just willy-nilly decide that we're going to do bank training and put people on streetcars unless the parents are aware of it. And when they come into the program, they're generally aware that that will happen, but that my staff will be there for the first several opportunities, especially on bus training. And then we actually then stay on the bus, but set in different seats on the bus so that the person can sit by themselves and we can see how they do when they're sitting alone in a seat, or if someone wants to sit with them. Or if, you know, in some occasions somebody starts talking to them, you know, is that a good thing or bad thing? So do we have to do planning, that kind of stuff. So all of these things are decided and the parents have input into it. So while there is a certain process that happens over time, we also try to let the parents know what classes they're taking, what kinds of activities we'll be doing in the community, and, you know, how that's going to be done. So that's the STAR plan. Which we include for everybody. The work and life skills training is obviously just like it sounds, except in our program, we do those skills training one-on-one. So what we try never to do is have a group of people. Now, so we have about 15 people in Paycheck in general. And we do not put those 15 people in a classroom and teach them banking skills, or we don't put them in a classroom and talk about how to ride the bus and show them the RTA app or the Jefferson Transit app. All of our training is done in the community. And, you know, we start out being shoulder to shoulder with them so they're not by themselves. We don't drop people off and say, good luck, try to take the bus if you can, and let me know how you did if you manage to get there. I mean, that's not our approach. It's very, you know, we're there with them. We're there making sure they, in that scenario with the bus, have downloaded the appropriate RTA app or the Jefferson Transit app, and to be able to get the passes and to be able to get on the bus, a student pass, and things like that. So in this picture, Will, I think, is that you? It is you? You look so young. You are, I see it in the bigger one here. You are purchasing what looks to be like a yogurt somewhere. That had to be at the food court at the Riverwalk, I'm guessing, right? Yeah. So when Wilbur was in the program, as an example, sometimes we don't do a lot of community, hey, let's go have an ice cream. But on our way to go look at jobs and to look at environments and to do the streetcar, we will oftentimes say, why don't we take the streetcar from Delgado and go down to the Riverwalk? And then you'll know how to do that. And we would have asked his dad and or his mom if it was okay that he was going to go purchase something, just so they know. And so he got a nice little Sunday there, and he's interacting, doing money, and who's ever taking the picture would be his transition specialist, or like people call them job coaches sometimes, but at this point they're a specialist. And so we're making sure that he's looking for change, and that looks like a cash transaction there. I think sometimes we try to do that, although kids, Wilbert's age now, and even back then, they often, cash was what they were using until they got their debit cards, and then they never used cash again. So we had to acquiesce on some of the things that we grew up doing, and not pushing them to be able to learn those skills. So the key thing here is that we do one-on-one interactions. Some other programs that are different from Paycheck, when they do some of that work and skills training, it might be done in a classroom first, and they count money and they do things, and that might be okay for them, but for what we do here at the Human Development Center and what we're trying to teach other programs to do, we think that if you teach in the environment where they're going to be actually using that skill, then the skill will be gained faster by the individual. So we're there with them, so we're not just throwing them out there. And so they're doing this, they're buying things, we're making sure they get their change back, we're making sure that they're polite. Wilbur's is always polite, so and that it goes well, that it goes smoothly. The other thing, the other trainings that involved are the bus training, navigation in general, knowing where you are in the world, and trying to figure that out. Probably some of the people in this training have met people who are really good at just knowing where they are. You could ask them which way is the river, and they point the right direction. And if you had to point to where your house is from here, where is that? And they kind of know. Other people might not even be able to follow directions to get places. I don't mean just people in my program, I mean people in general. So we try to assess some of that to see whether people kind of know where they are in place. Of course, we know that when they're on the college campus, so they know where their classroom is, so they know where the student life center is, where the bookstore is. Delgado is not a huge campus, so although Nicole had some trepidation about Bradley, and like most parents, they were a little worried. We are there to walk them to their classes. We're there to walk them to their bookstore, to the cafeteria. We are there the first semester every day, all the time, and try to be there for each of them as they go through all of the motions. And then we do other skills training that involves things that will come up with work, like resume writing, interviewing skills. Now those are done. We kind of model those initially. We set and have discussions with them about what some of the questions would be. And then we do job exploration. And we're going to talk about some of those things, which are worksite visits, job shadowing, and then the internships, which we do too. Yeah, so here it says he's doing a debit card, so maybe he is doing a debit card. So a little bit about financial management and a little bit about literacy. That is all kind of approved by the parent in advance. We don't get the person a debit card and just hand it to them and open accounts for them, and that we need the parents to be involved in all of that and to be okay with it. I kind of want to get Wilbert in on this. Wilbert, I'm going to let you talk a little bit about your experience in Paycheck, and I'm going to put the slides back on the pathway. You don't have to walk us through the pathway, but this may remind you of kind of what you were doing there when you were that 18-year-old that we met many years ago.
Well,
you want to introduce yourself first?
Yes.
Okay.
First and foremost, I just want to say thank you and so much for the opportunity. My name is Will Johnson. I'm a self-advocate. I'm a speaker and many other things. I could say the Paycheck program has been remarkable. It has been a life changer for me. where I am now, it's been a minute. But for me starting the program, it was hard. Like it was starting everything. I felt like I was still gonna be able to push through, but the assist of my dad assisting me on different things was the banking system, the learning how to go to class on your own, learning how to have your first paycheck. Some of the tools I have already had it before I start the program. So some of the tools I have already had, I was also teaching the kid, I was also teaching the other students who was in the program with me. The bus training, it was amazing. The bus training was amazing, but I already knew the skills because my dad has already helped me with that. And I was also helping the other students. As you see, having that interview, having that job fair, we had it at the local university. That was amazing to see every different jobs, and the one I saw was Audubon. As you know, I saw Audubon. I was like, well, my experience at the job fair, it was nervous. It was kind of nervous wracking because I was like, I don't know what job I should go to, where I should go to. So as I left from the job fair, the guy who was he was the manager at the time, he wanted to hire me. So he wanted to do an interview with me, and we went through the process doing the interview, and I got hired right on the spot. So that was remarkable. As you see, I had my letter of recommendation, my job offer letter, and that day was amazing. In the interview process, they asked you a lot of questions. Are you fit for the job? What are you looking for the job? Why do you want to come here and work with Audubon? And me being since then, I've been with Audubon. I was with Audubon from 5 years. Then I got promoted, and from that, I went to the aquarium. And then after that, I'm here at LSU. So all these different things that has happened. I'm grateful for Sue and everyone else who I've met along the way. And I just want to continue advocating for myself and others in the disability community.
Well, your story is just always so remarkable. Do you mind talking a little bit about your high school experience and like what track you were on there, what diploma track and what you're doing now as it relates to getting further education?
So I went to Bonneville High School, and I think that's located in Metairie. That's located in Metairie. I had a self-sustained class. My only regular class was social study and gym. So I met Sue at my meeting, and that's when he was telling me about the program. I was like, you're gonna enjoy this program. I'm like, what kind of program is this? They were like, it's the paycheck program. I'm like, okay, so I graduated. I didn't graduate with a high school diploma. I actually graduated with a certification of completion. My goal is to work on getting my highest set so I can move forward in life with my education, because I want to work on my associate degree in office management, because now I am working at LSU Human Development Center as the administrative coordinator. And it has inspired me to go back and to work on my education and a lot of stuff that I want to build in my life. So I also want to do that, and then also try to help others in the disability community and let them know that it's never too late. It might take long, but you just have to keep moving. And Sue always remind me of that. So yeah.
You're doing all the work. I mean, you should give yourself a pat on the back for sure. So the other thing that I think is remarkable is that you were living in Kenner at the time, primarily. I mean, I know that you also your dad lives in on the West Bank, and your mom lives up in Kenner. And so, but at the time you were mostly living in Kenner. And that's a long way from LSU, and it's a long way from Delgado. And so I want you to talk about how you got back and forth, and I want you to talk about how you get back and forth from work now that you live on the West Bank and you come to work here every day.
So I was catching a bus from Kenner, so I would have to get up around like early, like around 6. And again, like I always say, is as an adult, you gotta do what you gotta do. So I was always taught that, and my dad always said, you gotta get up and you gotta do what you gotta do because I'm not gonna be here for long, so you have to do it because you're an adult. So I would catch the bus from from my house to Kenner, to Delgado, and to the job site from across the street from LSU. So I was working at UMC as a patient access, and it was great. And I mean, I had to do what I had to do. So now I'm currently working on my license, trying to get my license so I can have my own car. So it's going great. It's going great, but it's a process.
Yeah. Right. So you're working on your learner's permit first, right?
Learning permit.
You don't want anybody to think that you're driving a car yet, but his dad has agreed to help teach him all that. And so these are all the things that Wilbert didn't experience really in high school. So he wasn't part of the driver training program, and so he never had that. And he wasn't part of regular education classes, so he never really was taught like math and science and things like that. He's working very hard at trying to teach himself. Currently you're doing the reading portion and the writing portion, correct?
Correct.
And then I'm trying to help him do it in segments so that he doesn't wear himself out, because he does have a full-time job and he has to get up at least an hour earlier. He's up at around 5:30, you said, to come to work here for 8:30, and he leaves here at 5 and he doesn't get home till 7. And that's Monday to Friday. And so because he has a full-time job that has full benefits, retirement benefits, all the great things that he's smart enough to know that that's going to pay off.
It will. I just have to keep pushing. I mean, I'm not just doing it, and as I'm on this journey, I have realized I'm not just doing it for myself. I'm also doing it for other people that's in the disability community, because again, I want to see other people who has a disability. You don't have to have a disability, but I also want to see other people who want to do the same thing, who want the same opportunity. And I want them to know, hey, there is an opportunity out here. You just have to keep on pushing. I mean, it might take you a little long, but I mean, you just have to keep pushing.
Yeah, and the other thing that I want you to mention is you've had the opportunity to do a lot of webinars and in-person presentations, and you are coming with me to do a class here at LSU with some people in the LEND program and talk about similar things or experience. But also you've been invited to go to some national conferences. You've gone to one in DC, and you're going to soon be going to one in North Carolina that Nicole's director and some of the other staff there brought to your attention, and they recommended you for a national Rehab Services Administration conference that you haven't gone to yet, that's coming up in May or something. So can you tell them a little bit about the AUCD conference and then what you know of the one that's coming up that you're excited about, and the one that you're going to in Baton Rouge?
Lafayette.
Lafayette, there you go. Sorry.
So I'm still overjoyed this whole entire week. It's been remarkable. The DC conference, the AUCD, I've never been in DC. So I had my first time, and I flew before, but I never had the experience to do it. Went to a conference. So it was amazing in DC. I learned a lot, and we talked about health at the week. I met a lot of other self-advocates. I'm still connected with them on social media. I have their phone number, and it was remarkable there to being at the conference and also being in DC and learning a lot about your community and also who you are as a person with a disability. So it was remarkable being there. The next conference I will be attending in, oh my God, I just said it, North Carolina. I will be attending that one.
Charlotte.
I'm still overjoyed about that one. I can't wait because I'm going to learn more, and also the tools that I learned, I want to take it back to my job and also help people in the disability community, because again, if we don't do it, who will? Like who's gonna change things? My dad always said, he said, if you don't start the process, nobody won't do it for you. So again, they can help you, but you have to do it on your own also, because everybody's not gonna be here a long time. So my next accomplishment, I'll leave to go to Lafayette, and I'm leaving I will be a wildlife leader. So I'll be out there for a weekend, and actually we're gonna be on the Lafayette campus. We have the experience. I never had the experience to living in a dorm. So I'm so excited to be in there and just experience so much. And I told Sue, I was like, oh my God, do you believe it? I'm gonna really be going on the Lafayette campus and really being like an Ashley College kid. But it was just, I'm just overjoyed with everything going on. I'm busy, but I mean, busy is wonderful. That's the most important thing. That's the most important thing.
Yeah. Well, somebody said in the comments, Latanya wanted to say, what an amazing story. Way to go, Will. Thumbs up. And I think, hearing me telling your story is one thing, it sounds great, but you telling it and looking at the joy that you have and, the inspiration you give us to do the work that we do and to do it for everybody so that they have the same emotion and reaction as you. We want everybody to be that happy. And Nicole, we want them to be as pleased as you are as a parent with what happened. Sharon pointed out, and Will had said when we asked about his high school experience, when I met Will, he was an individual who was in a self-contained classroom. And as he explained, that meant that he really went outside of his classroom. It was not a locked door, but they were expected to stay inside that room with other people with disabilities. And he only went out for fitness, and he went for social studies. And so, so some people, I'm not criticizing anyone. I'm just saying that this program is sort of built for the Wills of the world and people who are like maybe left behind by some of the pathways that are out there that people think. This is for individuals who maybe have an alternate pathway. A will preceded the Jumpstart in the Act 833 and the now that it's called April Dunn Act, a woman that many of us know or knew. And, we value that, but Will just missed that. So he had a certificate of completion. He didn't get a diploma. And he wasn't even really offered the opportunity to take those academic classes because of the self-contained classroom structure. So it was nobody's fault, but he very quickly wanted to be doing what everybody else was doing who didn't have a disability. And so he kept us, he was there every day. He traveled by bus for an hour and a half, and he went home an hour and a half on that same bus. So he challenged us to make sure that we included him to the same degree as we would have included our own children, other children, to not treat him differently, to include him at every moment. And I think you can see that Will is certainly someone, when you meet him, that he is very able to advocate for himself and try to get into talking about helping people with disabilities do more things. So that's something that we're trying to help even the schools do as well. We're working with a couple of school systems to help them consider adding more things that are more inclusive, which is the community training piece where they're out among people, they're out learning skills, they're out at employer sites, and that we're challenging them with other jobs, not just ones they might come up with, because we know about, like, I don't think Will knew about a patient access job at a hospital before. But when we offered it to him, Will, I don't think you were aware that that was the kind of job that a hospital had, right? Yeah.
I learned, no, I never, and being there, it was a lot. Cause I knew, and as I was at the job, I had other people who I knew. It was like, "Hi, Will, how are you? Like, what? Are you working here now?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm working here." They're like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "I'm excited, like, because I never had a job that's gonna like people be like they're waiting for you to come to work. So it was wonderful. Like having that job. It's just working for that company was great.
Okay, all right, well, you're not done, so you need to stay on, because I'm sure people will have things to say. Nicole Flores said they're really excited to have you joining them in Lafayette at the University of Louisiana Lafayette campus for the Louisiana Youth Leadership Forum, and a big old thumbs up to you. So
Thank you, thank you.
yeah, I know you were. Thank you so much. So yeah, I'm gonna I think I have to go backwards now. I'm sorry for those of you that I'm making seasick. I want to just, we did the work on life skills, the career exploration, obviously that's a key part. I want to make sure that you know that we do 2 worksite visits at various times. We take the individual by bus and go somewhere that is a work site that we have. Sometimes the parent transports the individual because sometimes the worksite visit is not on a bus route, or it's not, or the job shadowing is not on a bus route. And sometimes the parents are still a little worried about the bus travel, even if we're with them, because we would be with them on the bus if we were going to like one work site visit that's somewhere that they didn't know. But so, we're not about trying to, this isn't about, making the parents worry and things. And sometimes it's just too much for them. So we accomplished that. We agreed to compromise, and we can accomplish that other ways. By doing them closer to their home or doing them closer to the college, whichever. Example, this one is one of our students who lives on the North Shore. We have a program in St. Tammany, and we did a pilot with St. Paul's School and some St. Tammany students from the public schools. And this is Cameron, he goes by Cam, at a place called Peace, Love, and Little Donuts. And he's actually, you see he's got gloves on his hand. He's actually putting sprinkles. He's serving them to somebody. So he's doing a job shadowing, which allows the person not just to go look at the job, but they get to experience it a little bit hands-on alongside one of the workers. Our staff are there with them, but it only lasts for about 3 hours. So, we include those also in what they do. The paid internships, as you would guess, we are able to do those, and we are able to provide up to 240 hours of coaching over 10 weeks. So we only place the individual in the position for about 15 to 20 hours a week. And we can be there all the time, but we also try to not be there, or at least not be right in their environment if they're communicating with coworkers well and they're responding to supervisor feedback well. We try to back off and let them experience those things without us being there. Sometimes when we're there, the coaches, the employer talks to us rather than talks to like the Bradley or the Will. And we want to be able to have that communication go directly to the person who they should be speaking to. And we like to be maybe within earshot so we can reinforce it. In this program, if we do an internship, not only do they pay us to support, LRS pays us to support the person at the job site, they also reimburse the employer for wages. And that's not because they think they need to pay them for having a disabled student there. It's because they want to reimburse the employer for the training that they will provide through their staff and themselves. So it's like they're going to have 2 trainers. So the employer knows when they have this individual at their site, they're going to receive a trainer from LSU, and they're expected to also be involved in the training to provide the regular company training that they would provide to any new employee. So that really sweetens the deal. I don't think there's any downside of that. This is a young woman that, is obviously employed as well. She actually is employed at a position that's within walking distance from her house. We have a video on our website about this woman, and it kind of goes into a story. So if you want to go further, you can certainly go there. She told us when we were looking for job placement, her and her mom at the Star Plan said that every Friday evening, and sometimes Saturday, not like either a Friday or Saturday evening, they go to a pizza shop called That's Amore near their home. And they practically know everybody there because it's a family-owned restaurant, and they go there so often. And so she told us that's where she wanted to work, and the mom was really glad because she felt that at that age, that would be a good job for her to work a part-time job. And I think she works Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and she has the other days off because that's when the pizza shop's busiest. And she's still smiling like this when we go to see her. You know, she was able to do the internship there, and then of course they hired her. She said, I really would like to stay here. And they said, good, because you've been such a big help. And that's kind of what we want. I think Will said it, and maybe Nicole did too. We want the individual to feel included and just like everybody else and valued. That, like Will said, that people look forward to him coming to work. They were, you know, it was like, wow, there you are, Will, it's nice to see you. I'm not sure my coworkers say that every day about me. So it was interesting to hear that, Will. You're right. It is nice when people say, hey, Sue, how you doing? That kind of thing. That's a nice part of the work week. So let me see where we are here. You saw him with his, oh, then this is Bradley. This is Nicole's son. It's not a great shot, but it's in Ideal Market on Airline Highway near Clearview. And he was doing this internship and he did a great job. He, I think that we all found out that, you know, he liked at least to work by himself sort of thing. He's not a, he likes to be with his family. Now he likes to do stuff. They do all kinds of things. Nicole makes sure that there's lots of things going on and they have a very rich environment for that. So we didn't want to isolate him, but yet, so he's in a grocery store, and this is, if you've gone by an Ideal Market, there's always a million cars in the lot. And I don't know how they got a picture of an aisle with nobody in it because that they're crowded. But he worked there and he did a fantastic job. He just worked away, and just like he's doing there, he's not looking at the camera. He's, you know, he's not all of that.
And he learned a little Spanish too while he was there.
I bet he did. I bet he
He
did.
did.
I also remember, I think that you and I talked the first day he went to this internship. Do you remember that?
I do.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Oh, you want me to talk about that? Okay.
Well, yeah.
Well, okay. Well, as Sue said earlier, I was a job coach for 15 years. So I placed and coached our kiddos on the job. So of course I know what a job coach does. So Paul Bradley, he was employed for a little bit and didn't know where the bathroom was. I said, well, Bradley, you didn't use the bathroom at work yet? He says, no. So I did, as a parent, you want to stay connected with your job coach. So I did reach out to the job coach and just let her know that he didn't know where the bathroom was and that maybe he needed to be oriented, orientation again with the store so that he has an idea of even where the break room is, right? So I did reach out to Sue and they took care of everything with Bradley. He learned a lot from Ideal because what he learned there was not only beneficial to him, but when he went to Langenstein's, he had already had experience, you see. So now he has a permanent employment with Langenstein's, and Ideal was a beautiful stepping stone for him. And once again, the paycheck program and Sue's job coaches really came through for him, and he's still in grocery today. Mm-hmm.
Thanks. I think also, we appreciate the parents that do reach out to us. The feedback's important. Again, we only benefit when the student or the parent are telling us we're doing a good job. And when we're not, it kind of hurts a little bit, but we try to suck it up and go on and try to make it better. So I think, and then when he was placed, of course, it was a joint decision between Nicole and her son, Bradley. It wasn't a decision of mine. It wasn't a decision of my transition specialist. It was entirely something that they could either accept it or said, no, let's try something else. And that's a key thing. We can find all kinds of jobs, but we need to find the one that works for the family and works for the student. And if it's not working also for the parents and their schedule and things, eventually it's going to fall apart. So how long has he been there now, Nicole, would you say?
Oh, how long have you been with Families Helping Families?
No,
how long Bradley's been there?
Yes, ma'am.
Bradley. Bradley has been at Langenstein's over a year, and they gave him a big party. They had cupcakes and everything, he had. I thought they only did it for birthdays, but he had like a little safety pin on, and they all gave him tips for being there for a year. He was very excited about that, wondering when he's going to get his safety pin back. I said, "Oh no, big guy, that only comes once a year." He was all waiting for his safety pin every week, right? But he's very happy there. I can't tell you what employment does for our kiddos when they get out there. It's confidence builder, and it's also good for them socially. But I'm gonna piggyback on what Sue said about it's very important that parents really feel comfortable about that open communication between you and your job coach, you and Sue and her program, Paycheck, even you with your teachers, your principals. Communication is the key, just to make sure that all your questions are answered, and that you have no doubts. And if there is doubts, then please reach out, right, Sue? Because Sue is more than happy to help me when I reached out to Sue, like I know she would. And everything was completely settled, and there you go. Now he's at Langenstein's doing quite well. So
Fantastic. So I want to, going back to the chat box for a minute, and I'm going to tell you how you can get involved in Paycheck, because we are looking for Jefferson Parish students. Bibi Bodie, who also works at Families Helping Families and is a parent of an individual with a disability, said, based on the person I showed in the pizza shop, she said, "I love to see this. My son went to school with her." And thank you, Bibi, for noticing that and saying something. That's really great. I mean, she's very happy, and she even did a video with us, and I encourage you to go there and look at it. She's remarkable. It was really nice. Sharon Blackman has asked in the chat that if you could, they need people who come to any of these kind of webinars to kind of go in and do take a moment to give your thoughts about the presentation and give some feedback. I guess there's a link there. You can click on that, and we'll probably ask you, was it good? Do we need more of these? That kind of stuff. And then I thought it was Claire. Yeah, there it is. Claire asked if I would talk a little bit about the intake process and how you can get involved in Paycheck in terms of having your student or your children come into the program. And you can contact me directly. The contact information is on the front of the slide. You can go to our website. I would just say I could do all the HTTP letters, but I can say if you just Google LSU HTC Paycheck, it will go to that site. There you can scan. You can click on a link to get a pre-application sent to you. You can if you email me, I can send you the brochures. I can send you the application. I can set up a Zoom meeting where we can talk more. You can ask me questions. You can tell me how worried you are. We can talk it through. I've been doing this a long time, so I know it, of course, but I don't expect everyone, even from a webinar, to really understand each of the unique units in it and what happens and how we interact. But I think that's the best thing I can tell you. If all of that fails, you can reach out to Families Helping Family and say, "How do I get in touch with Sue Killam?" And they will give you all of my contact information. And we would love nothing more than to include more people in this program. Jefferson Parish Schools works hard to try to identify people, but we really need the parents to be able to decide that it's something they'd like to pursue with their child. And it's okay if you reach out and then you decide not to pursue Paycheck, because you may hear something I say that's like, no, based on that, I don't think this is the one. And so that's fine. I would rather let people have the choice in the matter. And so there's several comments that you guys should read that are in the, people are just really happy to hear, which really reinforces me that it's always good to see who the person is that maybe is in charge of Paycheck, but it's more important to see the Wills and the Nicoles and to hear from some of the other parents who have kids. The program is not for everybody, but it really is targeted for people that are on the alternate assessment and that they could benefit by this. People who might not be able to go to community college on their own. They're only there for a couple of classes. They're either paid by JP Schools or they're paid by LRS, so you wouldn't really experience any out-of-pocket expenses. And we would include the parent and of course the student as much as we can. And I always told Will and the other participants, the more that you put into it as a student or a parent, the more your kid is going to get out of it. Because if you get to go to all those job shadowings and worksite visits and paid apprenticeships, then you're really going to have an idea of some of the skills that you never even knew you had, because we're going to try to explore those with you and challenge you, but challenge you while supporting you. So we have only 6 minutes left. If anybody has any final thoughts or questions of either Will or Nicole or even me, you could always email me if you wanted. I'll kind of open it up. You've been doing a good job of chatting over here, though. And Robert Furtado from Grace King has put something in the chat. Hi, Robert. I don't know why my chat goes away. Roberto, thanks for the invitation. Just pass the information to parents and believe it's a, informed decision. Absolutely. The key partners are the teachers who bring the information to the students and students to the parents, etc. So we all need each other. It's like I said, we're not the only program, and we want everybody to be able to be included in the program. This is one of several you should consider. And hopefully, you'll be able to find out all the other ones as well that might be a possibility. Sharon, I think we're at the end. If you have anything you want to add, it's Paycheck coming to Lafayette. Your daughter's 16, Nicole. Well, here's the thing: we are doing a presentation at the Teacher Leaders Summit in coming up this summer, and we are going to be included in the vendor guide. So we aren't bringing ourselves to communities to do Paycheck, but what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going to school districts who have a contract through the Department of Ed to have us come and help set it up. So the partners would be the same ones we have, the school system. So Lafayette Schools, in your case, the, I don't know the name of your human service district there. You can type it in if you want, but whatever your developmental disabilities human service district, your regional office is called, we partner with them. We partner with the LRS office and their regional direct Acadiana area. Yes. St. Charles Parish, we'd be happy to go there. We've had a couple of conversations. If you, St. Charles Parish Schools, if you can get them to talk to their administrators and contact me for a contract, we're going to be in the vendor guide, so we could develop a 2-year-long process of bringing Paycheck into that area, including a community rehab program from your area, helping to train everybody, and would facilitate a community of practice around that. It's Will now. So yes, we all have to remember that Will is a grown man, even though we showed a picture of him when he was a young man. It's on the slide. I really appreciate you all being here. I have lots of information to give out. So does Will, so does Nicole. And anytime we'll try to do a few more of these at other opportunities, and to get the word out. If you can help by getting the word out, that would be fantastic. We want more people included all over the state. This is something that, and Families Helping Family will play a critical role in that as well, because they're all over the state. And so as much as Sharon and Nicole and Bibi and everyone was here supports it, it's supported, I think, across all the Families Helping Families, and they would play an important role for the parents.
We'll be sure to promote that now that we know that you're going statewide.
Yeah.
Bibi does all of our public relations stuff and puts, promotes all over, wherever we need things promoted, she does that. So she'll be sure to add that into her rotation to make sure the word gets out. I also send out an educator email every month or so, and I'll add that in mine as well. I did that this time because I just found out when I sent out my last one. So we'll be sure to help in that process. It's exciting. It's a very exciting thing to know that there are programs like this that can help our kids to get jobs and to to be contributing members of society, and not like Nicole said, we push them through school only to have them get out and sit on a couch, and that is just probably one of the most depressing things I can think of, so thank you so much for your time. I did put the link for the evaluation for today in the chat box, if you guys wouldn't mind clicking on it, everybody. and just doing a very brief survey. That would help us out a lot. And it helps us keep our funders happy and keeps our webinars free. So that's the reason we always have to do that. Sue, thank you. Will, thank you. Nicole, thank you so much.
Having
Very
me.
encouraging.
Yes.
Well, Nicole,
absolutely.
you're not, you know, you'll be asked again. You did a tremendous job. So did you, Will.
Oh, thank you. I'm waiting for you to tell me that you're going to Monroe too, right? Monroe. I have a lot of parents out there that would love to do this program.
I would be happy to go to Monroe. The way we figured the funding out for anywhere we go is that the school system would want to have us there, and then they want to tell State Department of Ed they want a contract with the Human Development Center to get that happening up there. And we could.
Okay. That's what I'm gonna tell them to be the squeaky wheels.
Yeah, well, there's a process. There's a vendor guide that Department of Ed has. And they currently, for example, our K-12 division here that Julie Riley runs, and goes into the school, she has something like 40 contracts with school districts across the state to do the K-12 services. So we've just been added for the transition services. So those school systems can go there and configure what it is they want us to do. So we don't come in and do paycheck for them. We come in and set it up so everything's there for paycheck to happen. And then we train and provide trainings and facilitate all that so that Monroe would have a paycheck that happened.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Thank you. Yes, I agree. I think it should be everywhere.
I do.
Okay.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all so
Okay.
much for your attendance, and thank you again, panel, for being here with us. And I'll probably be calling on you again to come back.
All right. Thank you. Good
Y'all have
seeing
a
you,
great
Will.
day.
Too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.